Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Emiliano Lasansky on the Zoom from his home prior to coming back to Iowa City for a gig at his alma mater coming up. Emiliano, welcome.
Thanks, Dennis. It's great to be here. Great to be
Where
here.
am I talking to you from?
So I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's where I live now. Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
Of course, Emiliano, one of the members of the Lasansky family, full of artists of all different kinds. Emiliano is a graduate of West High School in Iowa City. Went to the Eastman School of Music in New York, and now, as he said, is in Los Angeles, where you are a member of the Herbie Hancock Institute ensemble. So I know that's old news, and you've been at it for a while. But first off, congratulations on that. That's a huge honor.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been super exciting since I started the program about a year and a half ago or so. Um, yeah, it's been really exciting. We get to work with such amazing artists pretty regularly, including Herbie Hancock himself, which is very surreal. For any jazz fan or musician in general, he's such a hero for all of us. So just being in the same room as him is just such a crazy experience, but it's also really, really inspiring. So the program has been great.
Emiliano is coming back to Iowa City to his alma mater, West High, to be a part of their Jazz Café, along with Julien Knowles, who is the trumpet
Mhm.
player
Yeah.
in the ensemble. And that's coming up on the 10th of December, and we'll talk more about that as we go by. So you talked a little bit about working in the institute. Let's take a step back. Tell me about the process, the audition and application process for
Mhm.
that.
Well, so it's a pretty competitive audition. They send out first, they initially do a pre-screen. They're actually doing a new round for the next class, which will start next year. So it's a 2-year program. It's sort of on a 2-year cycle. And so in the audition process, they send out kind of a rigorous pre-screen to try to, deter people that they don't think will be up to snuff, I suppose. But you send in a lot of recordings, and then if you get a live audition, you fly out to Los Angeles and you learn a lot of music, and then you perform for a panel of judges. And for my class, the panel was made up of Herbie Hancock, Ambrose Akinmusire, great jazz trumpet player, and Herb Alpert, great jazz trumpet player, philanthropist, record executive, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was a really crazy experience because it was actually for us, it was in 2020, in February of 2020, right before the pandemic started. So we had no idea what was, like everybody else, we had no idea what was going to happen. But we flew out and did the audition, and it was a little bit intimidating, I'll be honest, just being in a basically a classroom, about 10 feet away from this really illustrious panel of judges, basically, and having to just do your thing and play and make music. And then throughout the course of the audition, it's one day. They basically start doing callbacks. It's sort of similar to like an orchestral audition. They start doing callbacks, and then eventually they'll put together a group of musicians that have auditioned and try to basically form some type of unit, and that'll end up being the ensemble that they select for the program. So for me, I didn't actually know any of my fellow classmates when we auditioned, although the jazz world is so small, in some ways, that I had mutual friends with actually all of them. I just hadn't met any of them, so that was kind of interesting, but now I know them all really, really well. Um, yeah, that's sort of the audition process in a nutshell, I guess, for me.
So, kind of your experience then, I'm sure, is a lot of practicing, some gigging now that things are back. I'm sure that you've had
For
the
sure.
most unusual experience of any institute class, having to do it through the pandemic.
For sure. I at least I think I'd imagine so. I'm not. We've been doing a lot more this last year with gigs and with performances and clinics, and there's also a big educational side to what we do. We also do, I guess we call them informances, but we do concerts where we do a couple different ones. We do one where we'll do like a history of jazz concert, and it'll be like an hour or so, and we'll play pieces that kind of move chronologically, stylistically through the history of the music. We do one about like what is jazz, how's it put together, and the performance is kind of structured around us playing in a certain way that's really clear and kind of explaining how the music is structured. And then, of course, all of us are writers and composers and arrangers and also performers. So a lot of the other concerts we do are original music, or maybe it's like some specific repertoire that we're learning or working on at the time. Um, just for example, last night we actually played a gig in Los Angeles here, and one of our regular teachers we work with is the great Billy Childs, pianist and composer and arranger. And Billy this last spring gave us some different melodic and rhythmic motives, and we each had the task to basically compose a piece that used these motives, and we each wrote these sort of long through composed pieces. And then last night we actually just performed them all in one concert with Billy, and then played some tunes with Billy as well in the set. So that was great, you know. So we really do like a very wide array of different things as players, performers, and just generally musicians.
Mainly in the California area, or do you go on the road?
We it's mostly here, but mostly in Los Angeles, really. But we have done a little bit of traveling here and there. Actually, last year we went to Jordan for 10 days, in the Middle East. And that was actually a really incredible trip. That was with the U.S. State Department, and we did basically like a 10-day tour and played in different concerts around Jordan. And we were mostly in Amman, but we went up north, we went into the south. It was really exciting, and Herbie Hancock went with us on that tour, as well as the great tenor saxophonist Don Braden. And so playing concerts with musicians like that every night for a week and a half will really, it's a real, very impactful experience for a young musician like me. Yeah.
You're going to be at West High School for their annual Jazz Café,
Mhm.
which was something you would
Yep.
have participated in when you were
Oh
at
yeah.
West. Who was your
Mhm.
guest artist? Do you
Mhm.
remember?
Oh, I do. Yeah. So the ones I remember were Sean Jones, Terrell Stafford, Paul McKee, and there was one more. I can't remember, but you know, each year those concerts were super inspiring as a developing teenager, just being able to make music with professionals and just sharing the stage and sharing music with people that are just in such a different place in their development as musicians and artists. It kind of, for me, it really showed me like what could be possible, you know, especially having these great musicians come right into my backyard essentially as a kid, you know. Yeah, I think there's even some YouTube footage probably of when I was in high school somewhere out there of me playing in one of those jazz cafes, probably about 15 years ago or something. But
Well, I know
yeah,
I know we have material here from when we
yeah, you
recorded
probably
you
do.
with the
Uh-huh.
Corridor Jazz Project, because you were around
Hmm.
for some of the
Sure.
early years of that.
Yep. Hmm.
Tell me about Julian. He's the trumpet player
Yeah.
in the band, and he's going to be with you.
Yeah, that's right. So Julien Knowles, amazing, amazing young trumpet player, originally from Fresno, California. He did his undergrad at University Nevada, Reno, I think. Studied with some really great musicians there, and he's an incredible composer, incredible trumpet player, and just generally great human. And so I'm really excited to bring him to Iowa City and kind of show him the Midwest. I don't know how much time he's really spent there. And so it'll be really exciting to show him kind of where I come from and my roots, and also, you know, be able to share his passion and his love for jazz with some young musicians too at West High.
Well, we always love the opportunity of having, somebody who's not been here before come in and
Mhm.
see, yeah, it's not just flyover country.
Oh
We
yeah,
make good musicians here, and you're an
that's
example of
right.
that.
For sure, for
So
sure. There's so many great musicians from Iowa.
you're headed to the Jazz Cafe. So not
Hmm.
all that long ago, in the grand scheme of things, you were a high school student listening to a
Hmm.
professional musician and working with
Hmm.
them. And now that position is reversed. And you do this a lot.
Hmm.
You do a lot of clinics, as you said.
Sure.
Education is a part of your job at the
Hmm.
Institute, but it's
Hmm.
got to be really different to go back home and do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I haven't actually done anything with West High School or in Iowa City really since I moved away. for school myself. So I'm really excited to reconnect with all of those people. Actually, one of the band directors at West High School, Rob Med, is actually my father-in-law. So we're super close, of course. But I'm really excited to just bring all the things that I've learned in my time that I've spent the last several years away from Iowa, and just bring those back and share those with the students there and the community in general. Yeah.
Well, no spoilers, but if there, if there's one thing you want to tell a young musician, what is it?
I would say find the thing about music that you love, and really just embrace that, and try to surround yourself with that part of the art, part of the music, and just try to bring that to every situation you have when you play. I think the older I get as a musician, as an artist, the more important it is for me, for sure, to just keep reminding myself why I'm doing this, why I love it, what it is about music and art in general that really moves me, and makes me so passionate about it. And so, yeah, I would say just find that thing you love about it and just really embrace that. Yeah.
Emiliano and Julien are going to be the guest artists and clinicians at the annual Jazz Café at West High School. It's the concert is Saturday, December 10th at 7 o'clock, and you can get tickets at the door. I think they're $10 and $5. Emiliano, you're kind of coming toward the end, a few months away
Mhm.
from your time at the Institute. What
Mhm.
do you think is next?
It's a great question. Before I moved here, I was living in New York City for 5 years, and I was playing on like the jazz scene there. I have so many great friends and peers and musicians back there that I'm always wanting to reconnect with and play with. But since I've been living in LA, it's been a really exciting time here, and the music scene here is very different, although equally great. And I'm kind of curious what it'll be like if I stay here, maybe out of school for a little bit, and try to get my feet wet here and see what's possible. So I'm not really sure at this current moment, but either somewhere in either moving back to New York or staying in Los Angeles will probably be what I do. I think for me, just trying to surround myself with musicians that inspire me, and artists that I would love to work with, or just try to immerse myself in that art. And so I think living in a place like New York or Los Angeles for me is probably what I'll do in the next few years.
Bassist Emiliano Lasansky, our guest today, and along with trumpeter Julien Knowles. He'll be at the West High Jazz Cafe on the 10th of December. Travel safe, and look forward to having a great weekend and some fun here with the students in Iowa City. I'm sure it's a chance
Mhm.
to reconnect with your family members who still live here too, so that
Of course,
certainly can't hurt.
I
Um,
might have to borrow a winter coat from them too, coming
uh,
from California.
Very possibly. Well, Emiliano, thanks again for joining me today. Hope things go really well. I know they will, and
Mhm.
hope our paths connect again sometime soon.
Likewise, Dennis. Thank you so much.
Again, Emiliano Lasansky and Julien Knowles, guest artists for the West High Jazz Cafe, December 10th at 7 o'clock. Tickets available at the door. You can visit the West High online if you'd like more information about that. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.